Okay, let's get started. Good evening. Today is November 25th, 2024. This is Newmarket Budget Committee. Chris Wolf, Chairman, calling to order. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Brian, can you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. It is now, that needs to fall back an hour, but it's 6:38, and we'd like to open for public session. Seeing no one in the audience, we will close public session at 6:38. First order of business is we need to conduct some amendments to the agenda. Under other business, we have the upcoming schedule, and originally we had the vote for the town and schools scheduled for January 20th, and that is Martin Luther King's birthday. So the town and schools have asked us if we would push it back or pull it back to the 13th. Do I have a motion to move the vote from the 20th to the 13th? Okay, motion made by Justin Lucer.
Second.
Second by Ned Carpenter. Thank you. With that, I think we should also consider moving the reconsideration date from the 23rd to the 16th. Does that work for everyone? Yes. Okay. May I have a motion to move the reconsideration date of the 23rd to the 16th?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, so we're going to combine these motions into one motion to move the vote from the 20th to the 13th and move the reconsideration from the 23rd to the 16th. Justin, would you like to remake that motion?
Yes.
Okay, remade that motion, the amended motion by Justin, seconded by
Second.
Ned.
I do need to throw out, we may have a school board meeting on the night of the 16th.
You have a school board meeting on the night of the 16th.
To be determined, I'll let you know.
Okay.
If that's going to be the case.
I think if we can maintain a quorum, then we'll be able to get the reconsideration. Hopefully,
Right.
it's not necessary.
Hopefully.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay, all approved. Very good. Okay, just one last order of business before we get into the town's presentation. Myself, we're here. Chris Blackstone is not here. Ed Carpenter?
Here.
Tim Choi?
Here.
Scott Foster is excused. Justin Lucer?
Here.
Okay, Brian Hickey is excused. Danielle Honan is not here. Brian Rowley?
Here.
Okay, Dan Smith?
Here.
And Brian Ward is excused. Okay, thank you. Okay. So, Bill, it's your turn. Welcome.
All right, this is for the fiscal year 2025 period 4 financial report. Good evening.
Okay, for the record, Chris Blackstone arrived at 6:41. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll start with expenditures. In the last few years, by the end of this period, the expenditure percentage has been around 38%. This year, the general fund expenditure is at 40%, and the change is largely attributed to the encumbrance increases in roadway and sidewalks of $438,026, which is up from $182,178 in the prior fiscal year, which represents 68% of the encumbrances for the general fund. The total operating budget expenditure percentage is 41%, which is 3% above the prior year. And again, this is related to both the roadway and sidewalks encumbrance amount and the wastewater debt payment that are higher this year than at the same point in time last year. Moving on to revenues, the revenue condition is positive at $32,595,737 year-to-date versus $32,443,150 the same period last year. It's an increase of $152,587, and the increase is largely due to increases in motor vehicle permits of 64,000 plus, and building permit revenues of 109,000 compared to the prior year. Those numbers were tempered by the lower revenues of the highway block grant when this report was produced, and those were significantly lower than the prior year as the period allotment had not yet been received. Additionally, we anticipate receiving meals and room tax revenue of around $135,000 greater than the prior year, and that'd be about $852,000 plus versus $716,900. And that distribution typically occurs in period 6 of the fiscal year. And then finally, as the year progresses, the hope is that the financial conditions will remain steady. To date, the rate of inflation has stayed within the range of between 2 and 4%. It was 3.4 in September, as the U.S. economy appears to have stabilized relative to supply and demand curve price equilibrium across markets. The state's unemployment rate has remained historically low, and low compared to the country as a whole, 2.4 versus 4.3%. And the regional economy is generally healthy at this moment in time. And that is it. Welcome.
Any questions, any thoughts?
It's all great news. I guess just for clarity, the road and sidewalks increase, that's kind of a blip because of the expansion going on, and you'd expect that to go down in future years?
It's not really that. It's that they encumbered more this year, so the expenses look higher than they would typically. And I noticed that they didn't do this last year, but they did this year. I think it was just to make sure that they reminded themselves that the money was, needing to be spent, and that was they put in $153,000 encumbered for winter salt, and they hadn't done that the prior year, so that also went to bumping that up. So that's really the reason. It jumps out at you, on the page when you look at it. Yes.
Just a quick one. I guess we all say it's always quick, and maybe it's not. When you say, one of your last sentences said, in comparison with whatever, the economy is good, in comparison with and the regional economy also.
Correct.
When you say regional, what's the region that you're referring to?
Oh, well, the Greater Boston area.
Oh, Greater Boston, okay, I didn't know if it
which
was
we're
part
part of,
of. Okay,
technically. Yeah.
gotcha, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Yeah, there will be. Stand by.
Oh, okay.
Billy, I'm not sure if you're aware, and if you don't mind, but
Okay.
the highway
So-
block grant. Oh, sorry.
So, go ahead.
I'm just not familiar with the highway block grant. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
It's a distribution from the state government to communities around New Hampshire that helps with highway-related, roadway-related expenditures. You're welcome.
Okay, so if my quick math is correct, basically what we're looking at is a differential between expenditures and revenue after the first quarter of minus $131,000.
Could be. I think
So you
that's-
basically, what you said is
I
you have
would
about
say that's-
300, you have about $356,000 in more revenue, or more expenditures than you were anticipating. And then you have about $287,000 in more revenue than you were anticipating, so it's about $131,000 differential between the two. So your revenue has lower growth than the growth in expenditures.
At this moment in time.
Pardon me? At this moment in time.
Correct.
Right, so your expectations is that as we go through the year, that differential will dissipate.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we're typically following the percentage spent as we go along. And I mean, if everything were equal, month to month, based on, you should do X amount of spending in period 1, period 2, and they were all the same, then we should be no higher than 33.3%, right? But the reality is you encumber funds as part of that, so that's already taken out large chunks. And then you have certain things, like if you were to look at the IT or the finance budget, those two, you see money being spent well ahead in the process because we front load payments for the software, for example, for doing, our accounting. So those are two good examples of that. So I would say that yes, over time, that curve flattens out somewhat. And then, of course, there's...
Spend the summers fixing roads and doing sidewalks and so forth versus during the winter, you run around with plows and tear it up again.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Except probably this year, that may not be the case.
Who knows?
I mean, if the last couple of winters is...
What does the Farmer's Almanac say? Has anyone read that yet?
I think I heard it was supposed to be a light snow year.
I don't know. Elsewhere in the state, it's already started snowing, so. Okay. Any other questions for Bill while we have his attention? Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Guys.
Okay. Chris, while you were, before you arrived, we voted on two motions combined into one to change the date for the middle of January meeting from the 20th to the 13th.
For the MLK, that was your email?
MLK,
Yep.
yeah. And then we changed the reconciliation date,
Oh,
a reconsideration date, to the 16th also.
oh,
So you
okay.
might as well get them all done in the same week
Okay,
versus
thank you.
waiting a week, if we needed to do a reconsideration vote.
Okay.
So on that front, this past week, Todd, Steve, and I met to talk over the presentations and to make sure everything's queued up so it goes smoothly. The first thing is you received the proposed budget by email already this past week. So that gives us a chance to get ahead of the curve, for the next meeting. So the next meeting being the 9th of December, we're going to have a presentation by both the town and the school. And once those presentations are available, we'll share them. But this gives us the opportunity to read the proposed budget for the town while we're, sitting back and having enjoyed our Thanksgiving meal and, between downs on the football game, right? Anyway, we'll have a chance to read that and be ready for that. And he's also committed to provide a structure similar to the structure used by the school board in terms of every presentation, all the warrant articles for the town will be consistent in terms of their phraseology and their numbering and things like that, so we don't have things moving around in the documents. It'll be clear. And I think with that, we'll be in pretty good shape. And the town the schools will do what the schools always do and follow the state format, and it'll be nice and structured and clear. Next year, what we'll do is, since the town's budget's done before the school's done, this meeting would be, instead of talking about Q1, this meeting will be talking about the budget, the town's budget. So we'll be able to move the town's budget ahead. Okay? Okay, so that's that. October 28th, let's see. Chris, you were not here, and Justin, you were not here. So I'd like to have a motion to accept the minutes from October 28th. Okay?
I'll motion.
Okay, Ned Carpenter makes a motion to accept the minutes of October 28th.
But Chris, I do believe, was Tim, were you here for that meeting also? I think you were marked under absent. In the minutes. I don't know if that was accurate or not.
Tim was not here. He was absent.
Okay.
I'll second the
Yeah,
motion.
Tim was absent. Okay. Okay,
But, yeah, I can then make a motion to,
so you second.
second.
Ned's made the
Sorry.
motion to
Sorry.
accept the minutes
I
as
derailed us.
as presented, and you're seconding the
Second,
motion.
yeah.
Seconded by Brian Rowley. All in favor? So we have
Aye.
aye, and abstain is,
I'm abstaining.
and
Being
abstained by Chris and abstained by Tim. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so those can be completed. And what else do we have here? I think that takes care of what we need to take care of tonight. Okay, so, right, so I will reissue to everybody the updated calendar before the next meeting, and that will reflect January 13th and January 16th, and that would pretty much wrap up our course of business. Next week, on the 9th of December, we'll do the school and the town, and then on the 16th, we'll have questions. That way, you can listen to the conversation, you can read your documents and things like that, and then you'll have an opportunity to prepare your questions. They have asked that we provide them with the questions a few days beforehand. So particularly for Steve, so that if it relates to, let's say, a wastewater issue, you know, he can have the supervisor from that department come in. If it involves the police, then the police chief can come in and things like that. So he wants to make sure that he's got the right department head to be able to come and address our questions. Okay?
So we'd send the questions to you.
Yeah, just send the questions in to me. I'll consolidate them, get them to Steve and to Todd, and then that'll give them the opportunity to be prepared with the right people at hand to answer our questions. Okay?
And you've sent the town budget already?
The town budget
But
we
not
sent
the school.
already, so you have that.
The school is not,
School won't be ready. When will the school be ready? Next week? Okay, shortly after Thanksgiving. So we'll have that in advance.
okay.
Okay? All right. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Thank you. Motion made by Brian Rowley, seconded by Dan Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy
Likewise.
Thanksgiving to everybody.